All right, let's talk about Legio Laniaskara, also known as the Impalers, because apparently the Dark Mechanum's marketing department did not have subtle naming conventions within its budget. These guys hail from Valia Maximal, a forge world where the primary concern wasn't heresy or Xenos threat, but rather gigantic murder beasts living in caustic undersea caves. Yep, you got that right. Whilst most legions were practicing parade drills, the Impalers were essentially playing underwater monster hunter with 40-meter tall war machines. This naturally led them to develop a fighting style best described as get in close and hit things real hard. Now, when the Imperium showed up during the Great Crusade, Valia Maximal made the classic mistake of thinking they were hot shit. They controlled 24 systems and had successfully fought off a human Xenos alliance called the Hydroxys Conclave. Yes, humanity apparently worked with Xenos before deciding that was actually heresy. So naturally, they thought firing on an Imperial fleet would be a great negotiation tactic. The Raven Guard and Legio Astroman from Graia absolutely rolled them up, and by the time Valia Maximal's leadership said, "Wait, we surrender," someone forgot to update the group chat. Hundreds and thousands died, including several forged cities, before somebody finally checked their messages and thus began a grudge against Graia that would make even a dwarf proud. So let's take a look at the tabletop action. Legio traits are first up with direct measures. Once per round, a single Legio Laniaskara Titan can declare power to locomotors without needing to push its reactor. Not bad at all, a free speed boost with no downsides. Perfect. Then we have the next Legio trait, which is bullish. When making attacks as part of a charge order, a Legio Laniaskara Titan may make a smash attack and one other attack with a weapon with a melee trait. The smash attack will not benefit from additional dice from the charge order. Now this is absolutely superb. Next up, we've got the Legio-specific stratagem, Heedless Charge. This stratagem can be purchased by any Legio Laniaskara player. Play the stratagem at the start of the strategy phase. For the remainder of the phase, any friendly Legio Laniaskara Titan can be issued a charge order without the need to make a command check. This is already starting to paint a picture. Our last Legio-specific item will be Modernized Ceramite Armor. Any Legio Laniaskara Titan may be upgraded with Modernized Ceramite for plus 10 points. Subtract 1 from the result of all armor rolls made by an attack from a weapon with a maximal fire trait against a Titan with this upgrade. This negative modifier is applied even if the attacking unit is not using the maximal fire trait to increase the strength of the weapon. This is fabulous when you consider how common a plasma blast gun is, and also conversion beamers seem to be pretty hot at the moment. This is not bad at all. Okay, so let's focus on what is strong here. The Legio strengths are you get a free boosted speed per turn, additional smash attacks after making melee attacks whenever you charge. Once per game, you get free charge orders for just 1 SP, and you also have damage debuffs against maximal fire weaponry. So in terms of synergy, we're looking to maximize on these benefits. The Reaver chassis is the best close combat chassis available to you. You'll be looking to mana pulls that further complement these abilities. Similarly with traded Legio corruptions, and again, you can also look at the damage reduction if you want to make something slightly different and go for a tanky build. Not sure that's optimal, but it's worth it and explore. I almost completely forgot about the personal princeps traits, so let's kick things off with Cruel. When making attacks against units of scale 5 or lower, increase the strength of hits by 2. Perfect for getting shot of knights. Really decent skill. Next, we have Titan Killer, my personal favorite. Once per round, the princeps may reroll all armor rolls of 1 for an attack made against an enemy Titan. This is money, particularly on a big long-range gun, like a Bellicosa, for example. You really do get stitched up when you start rolling ones on damage for these one-shot, two-shot weapons. So Titan Killer is pretty good in my opinion. The final one, Heedless Rage, is alright. I'm not really a fan of anything that causes you to suffer damage afterwards. So even being able to reactivate a knackered melee weapon, I'm not sure it's worth the strength 10 hit payoff. Aggressive Maniple 101, we go straight to the Ferox Light Maniple. Now, Knife Fighters is fantastic because if you're within a scale equal to your inches in range away from your enemy, you can add +1 to all of your armor rolls. Perfect. You can also use your ballistic skill in place of your weapon skill if you're within 2 inches. Now, this allows your Reavers to hit on 2s with a Power Fist, which is ideal, but it's also allowing you to hit on 3s with that bonus smash attack. Your Warhounds don't have close combat weapons per se, so they can outfit either as a tournament pattern Warhound with a bolter and a plasma, or they can have the Swarmer Missile and Conversion Beamer, or even a pair of rifles, dependent on what you want them to be doing. Another strong maniple choice, in my opinion, would be the Ruptura. This might split the room, with Warbringers being the equivalent of Marmite in this game. However, you do get a pair of these, plus 3 Reavers if you're maxing out the maniple. Now, the benefits of this is you do get one more use of being able to push a locomotor without rolling on your reactor. It does have to be applied to a Reaver, but you were going to give it to the Reaver anyway. So now you're able to do that with 2 of your machines. The other perk is if a Warbringer Titan kills another Titan, you can move all of your Reavers again. Now, tell me that's not fantastic. It is effectively getting you closer to your game strategy by taking out your opponent, and also making more use of your close combat presence because you're able to push everything up the board a lot faster. Let's get on to the mandatory amount of Marmite you have to take. So I have 2 specific builds that I like to run in particular. The first I'm going to be calling the Waiter. Now, the Waiter is serving pies. In terms of his loadout, he has a Mori Quake Cannon Carapace, and then his arm mounts are a pair of Volcano Cannons. Does run a little hot, but you can get around this reasonably easy, and his role is fairly simple. Find a Titan without shields and put some hurt into it. It then gets followed up by his buddy, the Finisher. The Finisher has the Bellicosa Volcano Cannon, which is effectively there because it doesn't have the minimum range penalty that the Mori Quick Cannon has. Otherwise, I probably would have done that to keep the cost down. And then it is also equipped with a pair of Gatling Blasters, which are the more important part of this build. The Gatling Blasters are there effectively to be max volume called shots, so that anything that your Waiter is serving up to you, your Finisher goes in and closes down. Now, I know what you're all thinking. In both these maniples, I've missed out the Reavers, and I've done that just because I've only got to discuss them once here. Now, the Reavers, you can season to taste for the most part, but there is one key ingredient they're all going to want. Chain fists. Why have I picked the chain fists? Well, you could use the power fist if you were using the Ferox maniple. Otherwise, the chain fists plus 2 accuracy allows it to hit on 2s even when you have to use your poor weapon skill. These are essential for making the most out of your Reavers. They don't necessarily all have to be equipped with it. I mean, for example, if you ran something like a Corsair maniple and you have 5 of the things, you maybe don't want them all carrying a close combat weapon, but you certainly won't miss 1 or 2 scattered through your list. Okay, let's talk some stratagems that will actually allow you to further increase the strength of this Legio. So we're going to take a look at movement initially and how you can move things into close combat quicker. The first stratagem we have selected is Bloodthirst. So this particular one will allow you to add 2 to any hit rolls made against enemies within 2 inches of you. In addition, you can add 2 to the command checks when issuing charge orders. It's absolutely ideal. It also makes your smash attacks that little bit more accurate. War Lust is a stratagem that can be purchased by a traitor player, specifically a traitor player, which is quite nice. For the duration of the round, that player adds 2 inches to their boosted speed characteristic, plus you also get to add 2 to any full stride order tests. Again, absolutely ideal. It moves you into the fray a lot quicker. We also shouldn't forget that we have a Legio-specific stratagem of Heedless Charge, which I won't cover again, but again, any of these 3 in any combination is pretty solid. If you've got another Titan you want to be able to move with boosted speed and not make any reactor checks, you can't go too terribly wrong with the enhanced locomotors. Just don't roll that one because those leg hits will suck. Now, we also have another elephant in the room when it comes to repositioning and movement in warp displacement. This stratagem allows you to roll 2d6 and then choose a straight line equal to the number you've rolled in inches. You then teleport effectively your Titan along that line. You ignore dangers of blocking terrain. You don't land in it because you will take a handful of strength 7 hits to your body. This is incredibly powerful if you're already on a charge order because you effectively will teleport within range and then move into your charge. pretty sweet. Of course, we are traitors, so we are going to look at the corruptions. I'm not going to go into the pros and cons of corruptions. You'll have to either read about those yourself, or I might do another video down the line. Either way, let's start off with Overwhelming Rage, a base mutation. This base mutation gives you +1 dice to any melee weapon. Perfect. That includes your smash attacks as well. So when you are fighting from a charge order, you'll have +1 dice on a chain fist and +1 dice on your smash attack. Plus, you now pass charge orders automatically. No need for a command check. Organic Protrusions is an additional mutation again, but this one now sets your smash attacks at 3 instead of D3+1. Absolutely perfect. Plus, it gives you an additional 1 inch of range, which matches your chain fist actually. So now you can actually swing at 2 inches of range, making your charges easier again. Writhing Carapace is an optional one. Now, I'm of a mind that you don't necessarily have to worry too much about stripping shields if you're going to be in close quarters fighting, mostly because you'd be underneath the shields anyway, so anything you've done ahead of that is more or less a waste unless you're using the Ruptura. If you're not, however, Writhing Carapace, you can set up, say, Warp Missiles for 10 points, fire off your salvo, and then switch them back to a Bolter or a APOC launcher if you need to at some other point in the game. Now, I think this carries less value in something like your Ferox Maniple because you're probably just going to want to be running forward and punching. But I think your Ruptura could benefit from this quite a lot. As an honourable mention, I do want to raise the point of Frozen Soul, specifically if you're using your Ferox Maniple. Now, this effectively will double the amount of repair dice that your Warhounds gain. So, alright, they can only be used for venting plasma, but still, it does help them to remain cool because that is usually a crippling problem with a Warhound Titan. This feels like a no-brainer when you're pairing your Titans up with, say, a Plasma Blast Gun or a Conversion Beamer. Okay, so let's get into what I would potentially take for a pickup game. So I have set up this double Ferox. The same machines are in both maniples, 1 Reaver, 2 Hounds. So in the first of the 2 Ferox, I have got a Reaver Titan who is the Princeps. He has got Tormentor. He's got Overwhelming Range, Organic Protrusions, a Gatling Blaster. He's also got a Chain Fist and a Graviton Destructor. He's then accompanied by 2 Warhounds. These guys have got Frozen Soul, Chitinous Carapace, Mordentised Ceramite, a Conversion Beam Dissolutor, and Swarm of Missiles. So this particular side of the double Ferox is here to put in the ranged fighting. So the Swarmers ideally will be pulling shields down earlier, allowing for the Conversion Beamers to start putting damage in, and then the Reaver with the Gatling Blaster and Tormentor to hopefully wrap things up. Otherwise, it's going in with the Chain Fist. On the other side of the coin, we have a much more close action orientated build with a Reaver again being the Princeps with distorted form, Overwhelming Rage. It also has Organic Protrusions, a Melt Cannon, a Chain Fist, and it also has the Graviton Destructor, same as the previous. It's then accompanied by 2 Warhounds with the same kind of gear, Frozen Soul, Chitinous Carapace, Mordentised Ceramite, but these guys have got Plasma Blast Guns and Vulcan Mega Bolters. So these would be the close-in side of things, going in to make use of the Ferox special rule. So this is reasonably balanced in my personal opinion. I don't think this is over the top. This is fine for a pickup game. I don't think it's going to win you any contests. We also have the Stratagem deck, and I've just picked a reasonably tame loadout of Concealment Barrage, Experimental Locomotors, so you can push 2 of these machines, Overcharge Cannon, Tracer Cloud, Warlust, and Warp Displacement. The idea being it's a mixture of close quarters fighting and long-range shooting. Your 2 Reavers can get in and mix things up in close combat. Your 2 Warhounds with the Plasma Blast Guns and the Vulcan Mega Bolters can close distance and put some hurt in, and your other hounds are in the back firing downrange. Now, these are upgrade heavy, and the reason the Warhounds have got this particular upgrade combination is I'm trying to make them both tougher and more efficient in dealing with heat. This could be potentially a waste of points, but I'd be prepared to stick this on a table and try it out. Now, for my second list, I've aimed for something a little more, well, I'm going to say competitive. I have never actually played a competition. I am going to go and play a competition in April, and I'm very likely to run something similar to this, so I will have to let you know how I get on. But I feel like this is more competitive than the prior list, and I've picked a Ruptura Maniple purely because with Laniaskara being able to push a Titan for free, Rupture allows you to do another one, which feels like a really solid option in a Legio that just wants to get forward and cause damage in close combat. So, I have got a Warbringer Nemesis. He is the Princeps Senioris. He has Titan Killer, Bastion Shielding, Mordantized Ceramite, the Ardex Defensor Cannon, which it comes with stock standard. It's got 2 Gatling Blasters and a Bellicosa Volcano Cannon. It's set up like the finisher build I mentioned before. Now, contrary to what I said previously, I have put 2 of these in. So the second Warbringer has got an incredibly similar loadout, minus the Titan Killer that the Princess Senioris gets. The reason I put 2 in is because I think at the comp level, if I was to only field 1, the opponent's going to target it. Because if the Warbringer is reliably getting kills and pushing my Reavers forward, that would be the first thing I would go and target. So having 2 gives me a little bit of redundancy. Now, accompanying them, I have got the Reavers. Now, the Reavers, all 3 of these are corrupted. The reason I didn't corrupt the Warbringers is in a few practice games I've played, if I want to do something like, say, a First Fire Order, I haven't got a ghost of a chance when they're all carrying multiple corruptions. So I have left those without corruptions so that I can give them orders. The Reavers, on the other hand, don't really care. So they have got Bastion Shielding, Mordantized Ceramite, they're corrupted, so they also have the Overwhelming Rage, so they auto-pass their charge orders, which they'll probably have most of the time. Now I've put Aura of Fury on. This is... I just basically had spare points kicking around. Didn't really know what to do with them, but this allows me to mess with my opponent's abilities to give orders when my Reavers are in and dealing damage with those chain fists. I don't know how effective it'll be, but I will be running this in a few practices before I settle. They've got Organic Protrusions, again, maxing out how much they can do up front, close and personal. They've got Melter Cannons. The 3 Melter Cannons are there to effectively stand in for the Warbringers loadout with the pie plates. So these guys are basically the ones who are now going to be putting in the armor damage ahead of the Warbringers being able to finish something off. And to that tune, they've also got Vulcan Megabolters. The idea being they'll need to be stripping shields down so those Warbringers can really start singing. They also all have chain fists because, why wouldn't you? So what I've done here is I've set up the stratagem deck to try and maximize what it is I'm trying to do. I want to be procking the artillery something or other. I can't remember the actual name of the rule, but I want to be procking the Ruptura special ability as often as I can. So the Reavers being able to tear down some shields using those Vulcan Megabolters. In order to make that faster, I've also put in Cursed Earth. Now, this could be a double-edged sword, but I'm prepared to take the gamble. And due to Cursed Earth being in there, I felt that Titan Hunter Infantry was a really decent follow-up stratagem to have. They pair very nicely, and it gives me the ability to actually hit some shields before those Vulcan Megabolters get into range. So then I've also got War Lust, so that gives me the +2 speed boost for those Reavers when they actually get within their charging screaming range. Warp Displacement, just in case one of them is out of position and needs to get stuck in quickly. I've also then got a Score to Settle, because it's a comp. I think taking a tertiary is pretty crucial, and this one is just, it's almost like it's set up to play alongside this. The whole point of this maniple is to rush forward, kill things with the Warbringers, and kill the rest of it with the Reavers. So a Score to Settle felt like an auto choice. And just to make sure I can get across the table, I have also picked Blind Barrage and Concealment Barrage. We also have got Vox Blackout sat in there. Obviously, I can't play all 8 of these because, SP dictates otherwise. But what I do feel I have here is a nice mixture of close combat. I've got some counterplay. I've got some ability to pull additional shields down. I've got ability to prevent me from being shot down on my way in, and Score to Settle is just a nice little cherry on the top. Now, I do think this one is a lot more competitive. I would be more than happy to run this tomorrow. If I was playing an event tomorrow, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would much rather practice first. But I think this could be pretty decent. So hopefully I have sold the benefits of this Legio over the downsides of this Legio, and hopefully I've convinced some of you to collect these guys. I think lore-wise, these are one of my favourites. Stay tuned. Fitz is going to be doing a lore dive on these shortly and popping that video up. He's already done one for Legio Fortidus or Fortidus. So I will likely be following up with another video like this. If you do like this video, please, 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 please drop some comments in. If you didn't like it for whatever reason, tell me why, because I would rather get it right than get a load of hate mail sent my way. But yeah, thank you very much for watching the Misfit Guild. I've been Gizz, and thank you all very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Or don't. It's your choice.